This house has an HOA, I stuttered. The real estate agent nodded. Number I'd heard the horror stories. Fines for walking your dog. Fines for the wrong color curtains. Fines for obscenely shaped stains in your driveway. A homeowners association was just about the worst thing a house could have. Do you have a copy of the HOA agreement? The real estate agent avoided eye contact. How do you like the house? She asked, trying to change the subject. I'd like to read the HOA agreement, please. After rooting through some drawers, she pulled out a thick stack of papers. Here you go. With a heavy heart, I began to read. Pelican Peak, Homeowners Association Rules 1. Your garage must be kept closed at all times, unless you are currently entering or exiting the house. 2. The community has a strict curfew of 10 p.m. You may not make any noise between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., and you must also keep all the curtains closed during this time. 3. Food scraps cannot be mixed with regular trash. We have a compost bin. Discard food scraps in the red plastic bin provided to you and leave it on the curb on evenings shortly before curfew. We will pick it up and bring it to the compost bin. Do not attempt to bring it to the compost bin yourself. 4. You must always wear neutral-colored clothing when exiting or entering your home and when walking around the development. That's where I raised an eyebrow. What? Neutral-colored clothing? I looked down at my own outfit. Aqua blue jeans and a hot pink fluttery top. What is this? Some kind of dystopian nightmare? Making us conform to all look the same in these cookie-cutter townhouses. So I wouldn't be allowed to wear this outfit? I asked the real estate agent. She hemmed and hawed. Well, probably not. But you know, you can just get one of those long duster cardigans or a jacket in a neutral color and wear it when you go out. It's not a super strict rule. You can have some color showing. Not a super strict rule, I repeated, pointedly nodding in her direction. I see. I continued to read. 5. Never knock on a neighbor's door unannounced. Similarly, never answer the door if you aren't expecting anyone. As a community, Pelican Peak values privacy and safety above all else. 6. When walking your dog, keep him or her away from the cul-de-sac on Petunia Lane. The compost bin is back there, and sometimes animals are triggered by the smell. 7. Never leave children that weigh under 50 pounds playing unattended outside. 8. The homeowner's dues are $150 per month, due on the first weekday of every month. I stared at the sheet. This is pretty restrictive. But look at what you're getting for the price, she said. Granite countertops and mahogany cabinets, stainless steel appliances, a rain shower in the master bathroom. All for under $200,000. I did love rain showers. I made an offer the next week. Several weeks later, I was moving in, along with several new black cardigans and jackets. My corgi Buff seemed to like the place well enough. She liked watching the squirrels run by, something she couldn't do from the window of my 11th floor apartment. That first night, I followed the rules to a T. At 9:47 p.m., I put my food scraps out, chicken bones, kale stems, and an apple core. At 9:58 p.m., I locked all the doors, drew the curtains, turned down the radio, and settled into bed. I wasn't going to sleep, of course. It was time for my 3-hour Seinfeld marathon before bed. Around 10:15 p.m., Buff started growling. Roar! I groaned, paused the episode, and walked into the second bedroom. Buff! Shh, I hissed, remembering the association rule. She didn't even turn around. She just sat at the front window, her head poking around the curtain. Hackles raised, staring out into the darkness, growling like mad. Buff! My fingers fell on the curtain's edge, but then I stopped. Keep curtains closed after 10 p.m. That was the rule. But does that mean I'm not even allowed to take a peek? And what if it's some crazy guy sitting on my porch or something? Or a rabid squirrel? I pulled back the curtain. At first, I just saw darkness. Amorphous blobs of townhouses stuck to each other, speckled with blocks of hazy golden light. Everyone had their curtains drawn. The street was empty. No cars, no people, no squirrels. Wait, the street wasn't empty. A tall figure stood on the sidewalk, right in front of my house. The light from my window barely illuminated his form, but I could still make it out. He picked up my red plastic bin, but there was no garbage truck or wheelbarrow or anything else around to dump it in. Where's he going to dump it? I thought. Is he just going to carry the bins one by one to the compost? That's really ineffic. He hoisted the bin up, his mouth stretched open, far wider than I've seen any mouth open. Then he poured the contents in his mouth. A light cracking sound emerged from the darkness as he chewed up the bones. I stared, horrified, and Buff did too. Then she began to bark. Ruff! Ruff! The thing froze. Shh, I said, patting Buff's head. Please, be quiet. Ruff! He snapped around and ran towards the window at full speed. A flash of a gray, wrinkled face. Hollow, black pits for eyes, a gaping mouth with, somehow, no teeth or tongue. I let the curtain fall. I backed away, hugging Buff, my heart pounding in my chest. That's when the knocking started. And I remembered, perhaps, the most important rule of them all. Never answer the door if you aren't expecting anyone. I'm a relatively small YouTuber. Not terribly small to the point where I get no attention, but not big enough for most of you guys to recognize me. I mainly do creepy urban exploration videos that usually don't capture anything, but I give a horror history of the place while I record around. Well, recently I bought what was supposedly a haunted house and decided to record my first day in it. Definitely going to move now. Every little sound makes me want to jump, including the leaky faucet in my bedroom's bathroom. I did the same deal as my normal videos. Put a GoPro on top of my head using a headband that was one size too tight. I dropped it down a cliff before, and gave a narration while walking around my house. There is a decent backstory to the house, but it's the same old cliché horror talk like a serial killer who was finally caught, never confessed to anything, and all of the victims' bodies were missing their heads. Yes, that's what it was. I embellished the story quite a bit, but that's standard practice in my field. The few creepy moments that gave my channel the extra push it so desperately needed could have been camera malfunctions or simply a homeless man upset at me for crawling on his turf. I don't think I've ever actually experienced something paranormal in any of my videos. Until now. After I finish the video, do some basic editing, and chop out the boring parts, I upload the video to YouTube and go to bed. I don't really think too much about it while I drift off. I woke up to a phone exploded. Not in the literal sense, but just with notifications. YouTube notifications, to be precise. My heart rate jumped, as it normally means a video of mine blew up. I got in a very excited and giddy attitude that a kid gets when opening Christmas presents first thing in the morning. And then my attitude changed, as if the present was actually coal all along, when I started reading the comments. Yeah, the video blew up, but now I don't feel safe here anymore. 126, WTF was that? Bruh, you think you so slick at 923 putting in some Halloween decor hanging from the shower. 1010 the great SFX. I'ma be honest, didn't notice anything until 902, but then I just had to rewatch the whole thing. Scary shit, man. 025, 11, 26, 159, 258, 504, 833, 902, 923. How are you not seeing this shit, man? It's maybe hidden on the camera, but you got a peripheral, right? I'm sure if I watch again, I'll find more. 8. LMAO time to LEAVE. These were just some of the comments that I read, and all I could think about right now was watching that fucking video. I pop down in front of my desk, open my laptop, click on the file, and go to the first timestamp that everyone is talking about. 0:25. I pause the video and scan the frame. It was nighttime, and this is just after I opened the front door of my new house, explaining how I had just bought it. The camera is peering inside, looking up the stairs and up to the second-floor hallway towards the left, and a couch facing a TV that can't be seen now. To the right, with an entryway into the kitchen only half visible through the doorway and behind the perpendicular couch. The lights to the kitchen and upstairs are off right now, but illuminated enough by the light in the living room. I scour the entire frame for a couple of seconds before I see it. There, on top of the stairs. My blood turns to ice as I freeze in my chair. Is that a fucking head? Oh fuck, is it fucking looking at me? Most of the head looks to be behind the corner of the wall, at the base of the top of the stairs, laying on its side. All that's visible from the light in living room on the shadowed face is its curly brown hair, forehead, eyes, and the bridge of its nose. The lifeless eyes glinted in the flashlight from my headset, casting sickening shadows across its face and on the wall behind it. I'm still frozen in fear, but now my blood is pumping heavily. I can feel the door behind me open and something staring daggers in my neck, but I don't dare turn around. Fuck no. I play the video, and the camera immediately looks back towards my car, something about it being a beater, but the house is new, and pans back inside the house. The head isn't there anymore, but that only made the feeling in my stomach even worse. Where the fuck was it now? In the video, I enter the threshold of the house and walk into the living room, moving my head around to show everyone the details and size of the room. I go deeper into the lore of the house while walking around, showing off my collection of geeky shit to my viewers. My next timestamps rolls around, and I pause the video again. 1:26. I look around but see it almost immediately. This one was at the stairwell again, but now the view was from where the TV is, meaning I could only see the ending part of the stairs, heading towards the doorway, and the wall it connected to. You know that large space above most stairs, right as you begin walking up, that's level with the ceiling of the next floor. That was the layout of my house. Right at the corner of that opening, the head was peering at me, upside down. I could still only see the same parts, but the curly hair was extended by the gravity. The glint in those horrifying and dead eyes remained the same. Almost immediately afterwards in the video, I headed into the kitchen. So, when I played the video, the head went away instantly from view as the camera angle moved to the entryway of the kitchen. I fast forward to the next timestamp to see it again, shaking as I move the mouse. I didn't need to pause the video to see this one. 1:59. You could still only see the same parts of the head, but it was peering out of a semi-opened microwave in the back end of the kitchen. Upon a closer look, if you paused the video, you could see something dripping on the handle. I couldn't handle much more of this. I felt like I was about to throw up, and I just wanted to leave the house. The feeling of being watched grew ever so stronger as I moved my cursor to the top comment on my video. Shit, the shower, 1923 at the end of the video was so fucking terrifying. You know how to make good content, man, and great acting. If it's not acting, run. I hover over the timestamp, wondering if the click was worth it. It wasn't, but I did it anyway. I just had to know. 9:23. My hands are slick, and my shakiness made me pause the video on accident. When entering the bathroom, like I did in the video, you couldn't see anything in the shower. The curtains were drawn, and I have unique shower curtains, as in, it was curtains, plural. 2 half curtains that could open up from the sides or in the middle like ones on a window. There was a foot gap in the middle, so that when I was walking in, You could only see the shelf and the safety railing holding my washcloths. You only see it for a second, and with the speed the camera was moving, pausing it made it a little blurry. It took place in the bathroom that was connected to my bedroom, the one right to the left of my desk when sitting at it. But when I walked to my mirror and the video looks through it, the angle was just perfect to the point where you could see the shower nozzle in the distance. My camera only lingered there for a couple of seconds, but that was all that was needed. Now you could see the whole head. It had the whole thing shoved through the severed throat opening on its neck, with the nozzle angling downwards and coming out of its mouth. The nozzle was dripping blood, and the red liquid was pouring down the shaft of the shower head. But that was not the part that freaked me out the most. It was my head. My fucking head with its mouth gaping open, my curly hair, my forehead, my neck, my ears, my lifeless eyes. All of it was mine. I sat there frozen, heart ready to simply burst out of my chest like in that scene of Alien, only with more gore. I couldn't think straight. Only one thought was going through my head, and that was to pack up and leave this place forever and hire someone else to move me out. And then I heard it, a wet thud from my bathroom, a wet thud from my shower. When I heard that there are homes in Michigan that you can buy for $3,000, I knew I had to have one. What I found were homes that had been stripped to bare shells and homes with trees growing out of their tops. That's why when I found a place on a decent drive in relatively okay condition, I was thrilled that all the house was missing were the doors. The 4-bedroom, 3-bath house was amazing compared to what I had seen. Running water, working electrical, nice hardwood floors, no mold, no rot. Someone must have taken all the doors very recently, even the front and back ones, and nothing else, not even the copper handles and taps. I waited for the real estate agency to send someone out for the official show. I was expecting someone in a real estate-owned graphic-wrapped car and a friendly smile. What I got was the world's most filthy van, driven by the world's sketchiest, skeeziest, and skitziest driver, creaking to a stop right in front of me. A woman rushed up from within and pushed her face against the glass of the van's side windows. It was hard to hear her, but I think she said, "Over there all the time, and they said they lost a man, and Johnny never lost a man, because Johnny went to war and brought men back, but they looked, and they lost that man. They looked up and down, and they couldn't find him, and they knew he was there. But he wasn't, because he put doors up. Same as Sam, she went into one, and..." I tried to dismiss this crazy lady with a small wave. "All right, thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day." Doors! Johnny went into the back room to talk to Lori, who went through the kitchen to get to the room. Both lost, and Johnny never lost anyone. The doors. The driver seemed to panic and took off with a screech as a new real estate-owned graphic-wrapped car pulled to a stop with the paperwork and deed to the house. I didn't let one old burnout's bad trip story scare me. The area was cheap enough for me to rent a room in for a bit while I arranged for a contractor to come and put the doors on. All of the well-established and more reputable firms in the area wouldn't even stay on the phone as soon as I said my address. One was kind enough to laugh and stay on long enough to ask, "You must be from outstate, hearing about one of those cheap houses, eh? That's where those kids went missing a while back. Well, 20-year-olds. Everyone sees him go into one of the rooms. Nobody sees them leave. Some folks been trying to move in there for at least the past decade, but most leave not long after. Seen the police there a few times. If I were you, I would unload it to the next sucker and get out. It's cheap for a reason." But that man knew I didn't have it in me to just walk away based on rumors. I hired a group outside of the state to install 16 doors at a premium, including pantry, closet, and pull doors to the attic. They estimated 2 weeks, the universal standard for all remolding jobs. I got a call from the on-site super, Bran, 2 days later, to tell me he and his crew are pulling out and issuing a credit without legitimate reason. They sounded spooked and only said they refused to go into the back room without legitimate reason. I raced back to the house hoping to catch them still there to ask what was going on. I was happy to see their work truck still here, but the men were not in the house. I decided to check the back room to see what was wrong with it. The back room was the only one near the back door, a strange offshoot that had its own bathroom, a washer and dryer, and 2 couches crowded with old rag dolls that the former owners left. The men hadn't installed any doors except for the front and back doors, and ones on the back room. The only thing out of place in the back room, other than the creepy rag dolls, was Bran's cell phone still open with only 4% life left, enough for me to see it had tried to make 350 calls in 2 hours. They recorded 15 minutes of videos broken up into 2 to 3 minute segments. I watched the longest of the videos first. It was shaky hand camera video that showed my back room door opening to my hallway, but a little different. The wall lights were in the wrong spot. Bran opened and shut the back room door again to show a completely different room, the upstairs bathroom, before coming to the hallway again. Someone asked something in Spanish, and the cameraman answered, "Yay, the rooms are different each time we shut the door. I'm just getting the video of this. Craziest thing ever." They walked to the front door, and cameraman told a worker to abra la puerta, and one of them opened the door. The video showed the front door opening to the back room. They laughed, shut the front door, and opened it again. It was still the back room. Bran returned to the back room and opened that door and saw that it now opened to the guest bedroom. Their laughs were weakened with fear. The video bobbed wildly as they ran to the back door and opened it to find the front room. One of the workers yelled, "Ventanas!" and the cameraman looked up at the windows. They no longer showed the outside, but other portions of the house. They were breathing hard, nearly hyperventilating now. They ran through the front door and into a kitchen and through the den, all in a line when they shouldn't have been. They finally arrived to the back room, but all of the rag dolls were gone from the couch. The men off-screen gasped, and the cameraman murmured, "Oh my God." As the camera was about to point at what they were looking at, the phone died. I looked up from the black screen to see the door to the back room slowly shut on its own. My fingers were able to slip in just in time before the door closed. I swear I could feel the house trying to force the door closed, but I forced more. The front door was also closing on its own, by design of malicious intent, I can't say, but it was closing fast. I swear I saw a corner of my own bedroom starting to form outside before my foot kicked the door outward to the real world. Now there are no doors on my house,